What's up, guys? I'm Travis, and you're watching Upgraded RC. Welcome back, everyone. It's been a while since we've had a chance to do any upgrades to our Gladiator here, but if you guys noticed, I've removed both of my mirrors here, and I've also done some serious modifications to my overland rack. Now, just before my last competition, I figured that I was rubbing my mirrors quite a bit in some of the tight clearance places, so I went ahead and removed my mirrors. I mean, all they're there for is looks right now anyway, and it seems like I've just been destroying them left and right and bending them over, so there's really no reason to have those mirrors on there if you're doing comps. And then my overland rack in the back, I cut that way down because we were rubbing on the top in some tight clearance places. And also I like the looks of this a little bit better. I wasn't really using the overland rack. I didn't have anything on there. I had installed 2 gas cans in the back, and we added some stickers to it. That's about it since the last video, which was video number 11, where I installed the Holmes Hobby BRXL ESC and also the SR515 receiver from Spectrum. Both are working great, guys. I'm happy to say that they're awesome. I love that ESC. It works really, really good. Well, what we have a problem with today, and when I did my servo on the Bomber, I put a Reefs Raw 500 servo in there. I love it. When I was doing that video, I showed you guys how this Gladiator right here had almost no play at all, and the stock servo was still doing pretty good, but the Bomber had quite a bit of play. That's why we went ahead and replaced it. Well, like I said before, I'm very happy with this Reefs Raw 500 servo that I put in the Bomber, and I threw it through all kinds of abuse, guys. It gets worked out pretty hard everywhere. I know some people who have had problems with Reefs, and they've been fixed. Reefs is a pretty good company. I have yet to have any problems with them at all. I think it's great. I'm running right at 500 ounces of pull with a BEC. So we're going to go ahead and put that servo in here today. And what I was talking about earlier, look at the play on this that I've got now. Look at that. That's all the servo, guys. This servo is about to go. I can't believe I'm still on the stock Spectrum. Was it the 614 servo, I believe it is, or 615? Anyway, we're going to go ahead and change that out and put a Reefs Raw 500 in there today. Well, there you go, guys. The Reefs Raw 500 servo comes in this hard plastic case here. The reason why they call it raw is because of the color. There is no color on it. This is raw billet aluminum. That's the way it comes. That's the way it looks. I love it. Flip this servo over. On the other side of the box, they're going to give us all of our specifications here. Now, this says this is a high torque, high speed, brushless servo. So for all you guys who didn't know that, this is a brushless servo, and it works really good. Now, this is submarine waterproof. Why do they say that? Because it's got 7 points of seals. Now, I have not been fortunate enough to completely submerge my Raw 500 in the Bomber yet, but I have gotten a little bit wet, and I've had 0 problems with it. I don't think it's going to have any problems with 7 points of seals, guys. That's amazing. This also has magnetic angle sensor in it. It's got pulse width modulation control, and this is a fully programmable servo, guys. All you have to do is download the Reefs software, and then you have to purchase the Reefs link. Okay, I think that's like 15 or 20 bucks, but that is required to go ahead and program it. So download the software, get the link. Now you can change a bunch of different parameters. Maybe you want to take and make this servo a winch. Maybe you want it to just go all the way around and around in the same direction. You can do that by changing the parameters here in the link. Now, I'm not sure what all you can do in here. I haven't had a chance to do this, and I do not have the link. I think this servo is awesome the way it is. It works great for me. But if you need it, there it is. This has an input voltage of 4.8 to 8.4 volts. All of the gears inside, internal gears, are all steel. And it's all CNC aluminum casting, so it's all machined aluminum. This should hold up to any abuse we can throw at it, guys. Now, it has 2 ball bearings inside, and it weighs 2.75 ounces. That's pretty light. Now, right here in the dimensions, this is 1.57 by 0.79 by 1.5. This is length, width, and height. The width right here, 0.79, I happen to know that the Spectrum S614, the stock servo, is a 0.78. So this is just a hair bigger, and I do mean literally a hair. I doubt we'll have any problems making this fit in the stock position. Right here, okay, torque. This is where we're getting into some stuff you guys are interested in. Now, this puts out 450 ounces of torque at 6 volts. That's what all ESCs are stock. Okay, if you put a BEC in it, you can take it all the way up to 500 ounces of pull at 7.4, which is what I'm running in the Bomber right now, or you can go to 565 ounces of pull at 8.4 volts. And the speed changes as well, guys. At 6 volts, you're doing 0.11 seconds, and then it goes to 7.4 volts, which is 0.095, and 8.4 volts, which is 0.08 seconds. That's pretty fast. Now, one thing I would like to point out here, the spline on this is a 25 tooth, okay? The stock one that comes on your Gladiator is a 23 tooth, so you're going to need to buy a separate servo horn that is 25 tooth to make this work. Now, it says here, guys, BEC is not required, but it's recommended for max performance. So that's up to you. I'm going to run it in the Gladiator the way that it is right now without a BEC, and we're going to run that 6 volts at 450. I'm running the Bomber at 500 with a BEC, so we'll see what the difference is here, and if I feel like I need it, I'll purchase the BEC, and we'll go ahead and take it up to the 500 ounces or the 565. Well, that's about it on this box, guys. Let's jump into this and get this in here. By the way, for anybody who's interested, this is the servo horn I will be using. It's made by Vanquish Products, and the part number here is VPS02410. It is a 25 tooth spline, 24 millimeter, which is about the same exact thing as an inch, and it is in gray. Now, this is an aluminum servo horn, and as well as having the bolt going through the center here on your servo, it also has 2 pinch points here. You've got 2 small Allens here, they're 1.5s, and you go ahead and tighten those down to pinch up this to clamp on your bolt after you put the bolt in the center. You've also got 2 different points here, so you have plenty of adjustment. I've got this exact same one on my Bomber. It works really good. I love it so far, no problems at all. Vanquish makes good products, guys. All right, so what you're going to want to do here, go ahead and flip your rig over. And right here, guys, is the Allen that holds your drag link onto your steering servo. Let me see if I can get a better shot at it here. There you go, that one right there. Go ahead and take that 2 millimeter Allen out. That will release your drag link from your servo horn, and then it'll be free from the bottom. Then we need to take out a couple Allens on the top here. So we go ahead and remove our body. What you're going to want to do, you're going to want to take out this Allen and this Allen here to remove this top cover, and then this Allen and this Allen here to remove this cross member. And finally, if you take this Allen out of the center of this crankshaft here, that will remove this front faceplate and all the pulleys and everything. Then we should be able to see all of the 4 Allens that are holding down our servo, so we can go ahead and remove that. So now if we just pull our wires out of the way here, we can see the front 2 Allens right here holding the servo down, and the other 2 are directly behind it right here. You can barely see those. So now we're going to go ahead and take all 4 of those Allens out and see if we can pull this out without removing our servo horn. Now, if it's binding up and you can't get it out, then we may or may not have to remove our servo horn first before it comes out. Let's see what happens. All right, let's see if we can get the servo out of here now with the servo horn still on it. Just got to do a little bit of finagling here, and there it is. Came right out. And guys, look at this. This is what I was talking about, the slop. See, remember the slop I had on my tires? It's all coming from right here. There should be nothing there. If you have anything at all, your servo's starting to get worn out. If you have a lot like this, that's pretty bad, guys. So we're going to get rid of this X614 and throw that 500 in here now. So just go ahead and follow your servo wire back. It's tucked in a couple places here. You can untuck it and follow all the way back to your receiver box. Then go ahead and unscrew the receiver box and unplug this one and plug the new one in. Route it back the same way. There you go. All right, one thing I recommend here, guys, after you get your old servo out and unplugged from your receiver, go ahead and plug the new servo into the receiver and turn on your remote and fire everything up and make sure that this servo works before you take the time to go ahead and install it and everything. And if there's something wrong, then you just have to go backwards again now. So let's see here. Oh, there it is. It works. I can feel it. Feels nice and strong, just like the other one. Okay, we're all good there, so now I'm going to turn it back off again and we'll go ahead and get everything installed, and then we'll fire it up and put our servo horn on and adjust everything. So when you're putting this back in, guys, don't put your servo horn on yet. Go ahead and mount it all up and everything. Then we'll put our servo horn on from the bottom, and depending on how your rig is set up and your steering is set up, you may need to do some adjustments there. That's why I'm saying don't put it on now. It's not really necessary yet. Well, I got it all up in there, guys, and I'd have to say it actually fits really good, with the exception that this rubber piece on the end that holds your wires sticks out quite a bit further than the stock one does, which causes problems with this piece right here fitting behind it, and the pulley also sticks up too high and hits this rubber piece. So rather than compromise these wires and bend the hell out of them to make it fit, I just went ahead and cut it off. I mean, when the body's on, guys, let's face it, you can't really see any of this stuff anyway. It's just kind of there for aesthetics for you. But I think it was much better with it off. I'm not jeopardizing the integrity of my wire, and I was able to feed my wire back through here. Now, after you get all this bolted up and everything, go ahead and just make sure that your servo wire still moves freely back and forth so that you didn't pinch this in any way while you're putting it back together. Other than that, everything else fell right together, guys. I didn't see any problems at all, but that does have to be cut out of the way if you're gonna make that fit. All right, guys, so we got our servo in. It's all mounted up, all buttoned up, nice and tight. Now, you could have went ahead and put your servo horn on prior to putting your servo in. It would definitely make it easier for these two pinch bolts. But what the problem is, guys, and the reason why I told you not to do that, is because you're gonna wanna put your servo in here and turn your car on, and then move your steering back and forth a couple times, okay, like I'm doing now, and then let it center where it wants to center. Then you go ahead and put your servo horn on perfectly centered so that it looks like it's perfectly centered in the vehicle. And then what you're gonna do is make sure your remote is set to 0 on the steering trim, and go ahead and turn your steering back and forth. First of all, make sure there's no binding issues, nothing's hitting, especially your servo horn. The servo horn on these likes to hit the back side of the panhard bar mount, so make sure you leave yourself enough room for that so it's not hitting. If your steering is all good and you're set and ready to go, you can tighten this all back up, but I'm probably guessing it's not gonna be like mine. So then you'll have to take the servo horn back off again and move it over one tooth at a time until you get it super straight, where you feel it's as straight as you can get it here and your remote's still set at 0, and that's where you wanna be, guys. You also may need to adjust some of your links here on your tie rod or your drag link and or your panhard bar. I mean, steering is a lot more of a science than just putting a new servo in. It's a lot more than that, guys. There's all kinds of adjustments here that can be made. But anyway, so go ahead and get that buttoned up. You get your car flipped over, turn your steering, let it set to 0, and then go ahead and stick this in there and put that on and see where you're at. If you don't like it, go ahead and pull it back off and adjust it until you get it as close as you can. And then if you're still off, you can adjust your trim on your remote. If it's still not the way you like it, then go ahead and mess with all your drag links and everything there, all that linkage. So anyway, let's go ahead and put that on and we'll get it all centered up where we need to. So we got everything all put back together, and she's sailing straight as an arrow right now. And look at this, guys, watch. Look how fast that is. I mean, the 614 is probably about, it's probably somewhere in this area right here. Look at this one. That is so much faster than the 614. And I know that we're pulling 450 ounces of torque out of this right now because we're just using the 6 volts on our ESC. We don't have a BEC put in here yet. I could take it all the way up to 565 ounces of pull with that 8.4 volts, but we're just running the 6, so we're at 450 right now. That's more than double the 201 ounces that the 614's putting out. So we got plenty of speed. We got plenty of pull. I think I'm probably pretty good here right now, guys. I'm gonna have to go out there and test it out, and I'll figure out if I wanna put a BEC in and go for a little bit more power or not, but I think what we got here is pretty good. Now, when you're doing this, guys, make sure that your servo horn's not hitting anywhere. Make sure nothing's hitting anywhere or rubbing. If you are rubbing or binding or have any issues like that, it's gonna prematurely wear out your servo because your servo's got to work twice as hard with all this resistance that it's got when it's binding against something. So make sure that you're not, when I put my servo horn on, I was binding a little bit. I hit on my frame, just barely touching my frame. So I had to take it off and I had to grind a little bit off. Not very much, just a little bit to make sure that it cleared, and then I put it back on and got it straight, and everything's just beautiful. But please, make sure you're not binding in any way, shape, or form, or you're gonna burn up your servo prematurely. All right, guys, that's pretty much gonna wrap up this video on upgrade number 12 for our Gladiator. What's in the future? I'm not sure. We'll see what we break and what needs to be modified or adjusted or upgraded. Guys, like always, I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. Thank you very much. If you have any questions or anything, please don't hesitate to comment down below. I will get back with you. It may not be right away, but I promise I will. Until then, until next time, until the next video, guys, go play. Go bash, go crash, go crawl, go have a great time. I am Travis. You're watching Upgraded RC. Peace out.